What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I'm your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, if you couldn't tell by them chompers, is, of course, the Freddie Mercury puppet. We're back with another kick-ass episode of Pod Scum, and my guest is already here. We love punctuality, so I'll give you my bullshit rap later. Let's get down to it. This, of course, is where the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Rexx Ruger. Let's get into it, man, and do what we do on here, baby. Gary!
Mark, hey, what's going on?
Do I got you?
Yeah, there you are.
There you are, man. Hey, what's going on, man? So first of all, man, I want to say, man, that I really am digging the new album, man. Love it, man. And I want to say this, man, and I mean this with all due respect, man. I really get some serious Alice in Chains vibes off of it.
Maybe in some places.
Voice-wise.
Say again?
Particularly in the tone of your voice.
Sure. I mean, it's not something that's like purposeful. It's just kind of the way I sing.
Yeah.
You know, I try to alternate depending what the song needs. Alternate between like singing melodically and then doing like the guttural kind of false vocal cord kind of thing. The vocal fry type singing.
Well, I love what you do, man, because it is like a throwback to the good old days when people would listen to a whole album, 13 songs and over an hour's worth of music. People aren't doing that nowadays.
They're not. I think that's probably the last time I'm going to do that. But I mean, I'm not doing not just because of anything other than how much work that was put into it. I mean, originally it was supposed to be 2 volumes.
Yeah,
and it was 19 songs.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And actually Ripple had agreed to do 2 releases kind of a few months apart and stuff like that. And then by the time we got like a release date and everything like that, you know, it was actually sitting on the shelf for about 1.5 years because I was waiting for all the other Ripple releases that had already turned in masters to have their turn up at bat. So
right.
I had to wait for quite some time. And, around when I got the date, I was like, I really don't know that I want to put all of that. I don't want to say effort. It just seemed that time had passed. You know, when I had come up with the idea to do that, it was like, I think it was before COVID, and it just seemed like a really good idea. I mean, the main reason I did it that way was because I wanted to keep us in the public eye for as long as I possibly could.
Sure.
You try to get, so you release a single, you release another single, you release an album, then you announce another album release, and then a couple months later you release another single for that album, another single, and then so you've got like a year's worth of releases based off of this one project and stuff. And that was kind of the thought process behind it. And then just when it got close to doing it, I was like, I don't really feel like doing that anymore. So I took the 13 songs I thought fit the best with one another, and I compiled that and we released that. And also, I had already started working on other recordings and stuff. And it's just, the time, like I said, the time had passed. And
well, for people that might not know, once upon a time, this would have been the accepted norm, though. I mean, this was typical back in the day. You would never see back in the day a Metallica album. They were all north of 60 minutes.
Sure. And there were double albums, and
yeah. I mean, nowadays people just don't seem to have the dwindling attention span.
Attention span. And thank the internet for that one.
Yeah. So it seems like we're more in like a singles / EP age now.
Yeah, that gets to my next point that I was kind of lost my train of thought on. So I still have like 6 more songs off of that I'm going to release at some point. Hold on for a second. And let me get this off the screen. Sorry. and then also I'm working on another EP. Like,
Okay.
so I've got like a couple releases planned for next year and stuff. So, and then I'm like just starting to work on a new project. So,
Okay.
because that one's
Okay.
almost done. That one's recorded. The new EP is recorded and pretty much mixed. I still need to get mastered and stuff. And then the songs that were supposed to be on the last album, those are all mixed and mastered and everything. I just have to put them in some kind of order. And I don't know if Ripple wants to put them out. I don't know what we're gonna do with that one. I think just because of what it is, I don't want to do like physical product. I think I'm just gonna release it like that one. Definitely the EP is definitely going to be released just like digital only, I think.
Yeah. So I usually work my way backwards with these things. You know, we jumped into talking about the current album, but going backwards, man, was there a specific album or an artist or a song that really jump started the musical journey for you?
Well, Kiss. When I was like a Kiss fan, when I'm a '70s baby, and so
Yeah, me too.
Kiss was like. I have actually photos of me that my mom's photo albums of me like 5 years old with one of those old Kiss decal shirts, you know, with the sparkly letters and stuff.
Yeah.
So that they were it for me for a while, and then obviously a big part of it was their whole like stage show and their image, and I like Monsters back then and stuff like that.
Sure,
Monsters,
yeah.
So it kind of like went hand in hand with that kind of imagery and stuff. I already liked dark imagery, and I liked snakes and lizards and creepy crawly things when I was a kid, so I was kind of destined, I guess. But then like I think when I was maybe 11 or 12, a friend introduced me to Rush, and then that was it for me, and that kind of took me on a totally like different journey, I think.
Yeah, because this certainly is and talking about your newest album, Classic Songs of Death and Dismemberment, some lighthearted listening right there. There's probably a few tracks people might want to play at their wedding on there. But that being said, though, there's certainly a lot of progressive leanings on there. So I can certainly, adding to my point of the Alice in Chains earlier, you can also certainly hear a lot of elements of Rush. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a long playing album, and you're exploring a lot of different, musical dimensions here. You know what I mean? Long song structures, you know what I mean? A long list of songs. So I can certainly hear the progressive side of it.
Yeah. I mean, they're like my all-time favorite band.
Yeah.
Even though
what is it about them, man, that makes them your all-time favorite band? I'm always interested when people say something is, how is it that they speak to you?
I thought the lyrics were very intelligent, and maybe wasn't into some of the themes, like the whole fantasy type themes and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I'm kind of a dork when it comes to stuff like that, but I wasn't like a D&D player or anything like that. Nothing against that, but I wasn't into that kind of thing. But I liked Star Wars and stuff like that. But it wasn't necessarily like the themes as much as I thought that he just wrote really good lyrics. They weren't cheesy or crummy or you could tell there's a lot of thought put into them. And then musically, obviously, they were all just players that were second to none. I mean, that I think that was probably the thing right there is how good they were at what they did, and they showed it off all the time. You know, like Geddy Lee is just the most amazing bass player. He fills in all those spaces so nicely, and I loved Alex's playing, and of course Neil's playing. They were just like, musical gods to me. And then also the songs, they're always, every album's totally different. There's no two albums by the Rush that are the same.
Right.
They sound different. They're sonically different. They use different ideas. I like that. I like that they mixed different genres together. There's a lot of fusion elements in there that I liked. Yeah. I mean, I even liked when they got into like the whole synthy thing. I mean, Signals is great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite albums by them is Power Windows. Now it's like kind of in the later. And I think that's like Alex's least favorite album by them.
Well, despite the fact that you're the vocalist for this band, you also are a guitar player. So who would you say, we're talking about bands as your influences, but is there somebody out there or maybe multiple players who you would say are the most influential on your style of guitar playing?
Well, Randy Rhoads would be one. Alex Lifeson would be one. The Edge from U2 would be one. Pat Metheny would be one, even though I can't play like that man. I still like his. I think his melodic kind of ideas have kind of found their place in my playing. And I also do a lot of slides up instead of bends, and that's something he does.
Yeah.
Let's see. Johnny Marr from the Smiths.
Yeah.
Dave Govrin from the Sundays, who was a big Johnny Marr fan. He was a big influence, I think. Gosh.
And so despite you being a California guy and being surrounded by all this great metal, and I see you're tied into a lot of the metal guys out there, though, you're not really naming a lot of extreme metal guys.
No, I there was when Metallica first came out, like with Kill 'Em All and stuff. I really liked Kirk Hammett's style of playing. I thought because I never heard anybody play like that, all fast picking and stuff like that, and never really. They're just relentless. So I was a big fan of his for a long time, and I love old Metallica and stuff like that. They're great, but he was probably more of an influence on me when I was in my old band Sacrilege. Kirk Hammett was probably like one of the biggest influences for me then. Now it's probably all these other guys and stuff.
And so when you guys get together, when your current band, The Ghost Next Door, when you guys get together and create, what's the process like? Meaning, is it collaborative? Are you delivering the lion's share of the ideas?
Yeah, I write everything and I demo it and I bring it to the band. And like our other guitar player, Aaron, obviously he writes. I wouldn't dare try to even go near try to do this with your leads. He does whatever he wants with his leads. Our bass player, I think, has the most free reign because I like that kind of input from a bass player. I'm not a bass player myself, even though when I do play bass, I do record bass. I do try to approach it as they would, but they're a different animal. So the bass lines, I'll usually like say yay or nay. It's most of the time it's yay, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I surround myself with some great bassists. And then the drums, that's kind of like a give and take with the drums. I mean, I used to first come to practice with demos that had like basic rudimentary drum machines and stuff on them, but now with like Easy Drummer and all those drum programs and stuff, I can like really go to it and like create crazy drum parts and stuff like that. And I think that like sometimes the drummer will come up with like the first things that comes to mind, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So a lot of times I might have an idea for like the beat, but as far as like fills, I'm not, I might go, do that how you want it. And then also if they like want to add to the beats or change the beats that I've like kind of put on the recordings and stuff like that, that's cool too. If it comes better, it's better, I'm right. But as far as like the lion's share, I pretty much write everything myself and bring it to the table.
Now, obviously, I can't believe everything I read on the internet, and I don't know that that when I'm looking together my notes here and stuff to talk to you about, I don't know if I've got the current lineup correct. But who is the current drummer?
All right. Well, yeah. So the current drummer is Kevin Amon or Amon. I don't know.
Okay, because on the internet they had the great Andy Gallion. Yeah,
he was in the band for a real short period of time.
Okay. So Encyclopedia Metallum.
Yeah, they got. Unfortunately, they have a lot of things wrong. I think they have like
a lot of. I'm starting to realize that, Gary. I'm starting to realize that a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah, and it says that.
And the funny thing is, they have him in the band from 2019 to present time.
Yeah. I've written to them once to try to correct something, and I don't know if they ever corrected it or not. And I just kind of was like.
Well, I got excited for a minute because obviously, and people in the metal world may not instantly remember the name, and he hasn't been with Death Angel for a long time, man, but he was the child prodigy, and I don't know what else to call him, man, but he was like 14 or 15 years old, already fucking jamming with those guys.
I think he was like, 12 or 13 when we first started.
Crazy, just crazy. I mean, and Death Angel obviously still a major force in the modern thrash world right now. They took a long hiatus sometime there in the 90s, and they kind of went away for a while. But they're back with a fucking vengeance like no other band right now. I mean, like they're really kicking ass. Andy no longer is part of their current lineup, but I know that they're all like you know, kind of cousins and family and kind of all intertwined.
Yeah,
or at least they were at
he
one
was in the
point.
band for just a little while. The only like constant member in the band other than me is Aaron Asghari, our other guitar player. He's been like pretty much with me since the beginning. I mean, I started this band a long time ago, and it was actually going to be like more of an alternative band and stuff like that. And, and then just kind of naturally morphed into what it is. And he's been with me since, like, I would say since we started doing it seriously.
Yeah.
And then so Andy was a replacement drummer for a little bit. We had this drummer named Sebastian Castellane who played on not this last record, but the album before that, A Feast for the Sixth Sense. A great drummer, French national. He still lives out here. We had a lot of, like, he quit the band a lot, and he rejoined the band and quit the band and rejoined the band. And so now he's out, and we've got Kevin Amon who's in the band, and then our bassist Noah Whitfield. He has been in the band and out of the band just a couple times. Like most of the time, we're still all good friends no matter what, and stuff. But it's just, you know, sometimes things just don't work out.
And so, what was your link with Andy though? Like,
well, I've known him. Me and him were like the two youngest people in like bands in the Bay Area scene back in the 80s and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because when I was in Sacrilege, I was 14. And so he was like I said, he was like 13 or something like that. And they'd already been playing for a while, Death Angel, when we first started playing. So anyways, I've known him forever for all this. And I asked him to join the band at one point. And he filled in once for a show. For some reason, and then we asked him when Sebastian quit at one point. We asked him to come back in and if he'd do it, and he did. We did a couple of shows with him in the Bay Area, and we toured a little bit with him. And love the guy to death, but just didn't work out.
So when you put an album like this out, man, like what kind of a position are you in as far as going out and playing live shows and or touring? Are you guys a band that's in a position to do that?
Well, we were more so a while back, like before COVID. We had a van, and we were like making plans to do way more touring than we are now. I'm up for it, and I'm into it, and we probably will do some next year, especially with this EP and this other thing coming out. I don't know if it's going to be like extensive. It's really expensive to tour right now and stuff. Yeah. I know bands that are huge that are having problems with that. Yeah, I know our infrastructure is way smaller than theirs and stuff like that. But we had to sell the van, and I won't get into why, but it was something that I didn't want to do and we shouldn't have done. And so yeah, I'm into it. I want to do it. I will say this though, like not this past April, but the April before was my whatever birthday, and I played a birthday show out here, and then after that, I told the band that I wanted to like stop doing live shows, for the moment, because not only was I doing all the writing and recording, but I was also like doing like all the business and stuff, and I actually. You know, sometimes I'll book with other people out here, other promoters and stuff. Most of the time I'll promote the show myself. I'll pick the bands, I'll pick the venue, and I'll do all that.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I said, I don't want to do this for a while. And then when the album came out or was about to come out, I thought it might be just a good idea to like see what was what, and if we could put things back together, and if it was still fun. But I was going to kind of put the brakes on the fucking gung-ho kind of type way because I put in so much work and so much work.
Sure, it's disheartening nowadays. It's disheartening. Yeah. It can be.
Yeah, only to be like somebody to quit the band or some other thing to happen when it was just like I couldn't get ahead. We couldn't get ahead, and so I was just like tired of like pushing the cart uphill, you know. So, so now we're playing out. We played out recently, and we're gonna start playing out some more. I want the guys to learn, because this drummer didn't play on the last record. He's learning all the songs off that, all the songs we want to play live and stuff like that. So I think probably the next thing we're going to do is probably like a late date record release show for that record, even though it came out in June or whatever.
And when you're sitting down writing these incredible songs, and this is a collection of really, really incredible songs, I would urge people to definitely go out and check this album out, man. What's your own individual process like? You know, I know we talked about the band's creative process, but when you're sitting down to write these songs, what kind of a creative person are you? Like I hear a lot of musicians on here say they get sparks of creativity at their day job, or I hear a lot in the car, or you get the creative types who kind of sequester themselves away and say, I'm going to go into a room and I'm going to write. Like for you, what's the process like?
I first of all, I never run out of ideas because I listen to so much different stuff.
That's good. You know? Yeah.
I don't really listen to a lot of metal. I listen to a lot of underground alternative bands. And they definitely help with that in that department. So, because I'm always hearing new things from, you know, new approaches to things and how I can incorporate it in a band that plays heavy music, you know.
Yep.
I just sit with the guitar most of the time and just start to write. Just start to play, and if something comes up that sounds to me like a good start of a song, then I'll just fucking start there and I'll write from there. So I usually write the whole thing, like at least the skeleton of the guitar part, which is the main part of the song for me when I'm writing.
Is it deliberate when you're going to create though? Do you say, I'm going to go create, or does it just kind of come to you and then you say, I got to go play that?
It's whenever I pick up a guitar, because, you know, I'm not usually trying to learn other people's stuff, you know? So I'm usually not these days, even though I was for a while, like really trying to hone my chops and stuff like that. More along lines when I pick up guitar and stuff like that. It's just kind of like play around and stuff like that, and enjoy it and not be too structured with it. And usually something comes up, and then if I like it and I don't feel like writing a whole thing, I'll just record that idea. And then, but I'll always start with one idea, and then I'll write the rest of it, and I'll make drum tracks to it, and then I'll record the guitar over it, and then it's always bassless. I always leave it bassless and stuff. So all none of my demos have bass on it, and I'll do all the
a lot like And Justice for All then.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason.
And I'll do that, and then I'll the last part, which is the hardest part for me, is to write lyrics. I realized in this last EP that I worked on that I like it better because I wrote a bunch of lyrics, and then I was like trying to fit them on songs, and I was like, this isn't working. And I've done that before, and it worked. So I was like, I'm gonna come up with melodies first,
and
then I'm gonna write in that kind of melodic pattern and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately. And then I'll record the vocals and the background vocals and the harmonies and stuff like that. And then I'll give it to the bassist, and he'll write his parts, and he'll come over and play them for me. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
And why are the lyrics the hard part? Are you somebody that writes stuff and then kind of self-edits, or you're critical of what you write?
I'm fucking hypercritical of myself.
Yeah, I have that same problem too. I don't write songs. I'm not a musician, but I do fancy myself somebody who likes to write. I like to journal. I like to write short stories. I would like to someday be a published author. That's always been a dream of mine. I'm my own biggest obstacle, and I've talked to other writers about this. I tend to get a couple chapters into something, but I can't move past the point of going back and always looking for the right word, or like self-editing as I'm going along. And it's a huge hindrance. And other writers have said, don't do that. Just kind of charge through and write the thing. You can always go back and do rewrites and shit like that, but I can't get around that. I think it's just a part of my brain that's just OCD, like where I think Is that sentence great? And I almost think like I'm trying to almost make it sound hyper intelligent when really most of the stuff that I read is not really that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily totally dumb it down, but I guess I am kind of saying that it doesn't have to be so highbrow. You know what I mean?
I would agree with your friends on them with that.
Yeah, you kind of got to get cards through the creative process.
You'll keep starting and stopping and doing the same thing over and over again. Everything finished and stuff like that. It's so important to finish something, you know.
And then suddenly you find yourself like, I've been on chapter 2 for the last 6 months. You know, like
you don't want to do that. Just keep going and stuff, and then go back, and then maybe have an editor or a friend or something look over it and stuff.
Yeah,
because like when I do my mixes and stuff, first of all, I like the last record. I did the Feast for the Sixth Sense. I did with Juan Ortega. He mixed it. He didn't record it, but he mixed it. Snake Green helped he mixed the very first one. And then the third one, Snake and me recorded it, and then I'm engineered it, but he kind of stood behind me and stuff like that, or sat behind me and listened to it, and we kind of mixed it together. And then this EP I'm working on right now, I'm mixing this first thing. I'm mixing all by myself. I'm recording and mixing it myself. But when I'm done with the mix, I'm gonna send it to him and I'm gonna say, "What do you think?" And if he says something, I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna fucking try it. And you know, he's gonna be 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, he's gonna be right. And the only time he's not right, it's not that he's not right. Is that it's more of a personal preference kind of thing. Like he would write this or record this or mix this. This is what he would like it. And if I don't agree, then I don't agree. But most of the mixing things he tells me, I'm like, sure, let's do it. And he's always right.
And I heard you throw a name in there, Juan Ortega. I'm not sure why I know that name, but where would I know that name from?
He's an engineer out here. He's done a bunch of machine head stuff.
Okay.
I think he's definitely worked with Testament a bunch.
Okay.
Ranger, I think.
Maybe that's where I've seen the name.
And then like tons of other bands out here and stuff like that. Super cool dude. Him and Snake are the guys. Like if I'm like have a question about audio engineering, which I'm super into right now, I'll fucking text them and they'll always get back. They're they're like my mentors. They'll always get back to me and say what they think. And I've learned so much from them. I never had to go, I didn't go to school for it. I just learned from trial and error, and then stuff on YouTube's good. There's some channels on YouTube that are really good for that. And then I listen to these two guys and they've been great.
Now, one thing I picked up on that you said earlier that kind of inspires you is listening to newer alternative bands. I found myself, and the podcast has helped me broaden my horizons and kind of go on the streaming platform and follow the algorithm where they'll say, oh, if you like this band, you might want to check out this band. And I'll go down these rabbit holes, and I've been better about exploring new music. I used to be that stodgy old fucker that would just, if I'm going to listen to music recreationally, I fall back on my old shit if I'm cleaning or puttering around the house or whatever, man. I'm trying to get better about it, but I know there's a lot of music out there, man. And so it sounds like you're not somebody that if you're going to listen from a fan standpoint, that'll just always like listen to shit you're familiar with. It sounds like you will explore new music. Are there any bands out there or anything currently that you found, exciting and refreshing? Any bands out there?
Well, let me see. So, there's an artist named Ethel Cain that I like a lot.
Okay.
She did a record a couple years ago, and it's just amazing. I think it's called Preacher's Daughter. I highly recommend that. There's like only one song off that I don't really like, and that was like the single. And sometimes the stuff that people write that becomes a single, that's usually the song I dislike.
Yeah, because it tends to get overplayed.
Now it appeal to everybody, and it's a bit lighter fare or whatever. People don't. The public at large don't like dark music, I don't think.
And now, what genre of music would she be?
They're alternative.
Okay.
They call her like Southern Gothic too, and
okay.
But there's heavy in there. There's ethereal in there. It's great songwriting. So there's that. There's a a guy named Odie, Odie. He's like alt R&B kind of guy. So
Okay.
R&B. His EP that he released this year. It's let me see if I can find it real quick. I promise it won't take too long on all this stuff.
ODIE. Okay.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's good that you can find like stuff out there, man. That's exciting, because sometimes you can go down that rabbit hole of looking for new music, and sometimes it can be tough to find stuff that's like sounds new and sounds fresh.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so there's this thing called NFA. I don't know what that stands for. NFA Demos EP that came out this year by Odie. That's really good.
Okay.
My wife and I are crazy about it.
Okay.
I like the Band of Horses. I like a band from Denmark called Mew. My wife and I are actually going to go see them play like one of their last concerts ever in Denmark next year. A band from London that actually has 2 Americans in it called the Boxer Rebellion. What else? As far as metal bands, I love Meshuggah. I'm wearing my shirt right now, but I guess you can't see it.
Such
I
an
like
incredible
Vola.
and heavy band. Who?
Vola, VOLA.
Nope, never heard of them.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I like a lot of shoegaze stuff, but like like bands like Ariel and what's Day Sleepers. Some of these bands aren't even around anymore. Ariel's still around. The Day Sleepers I don't think are. I like Grizzly Bear a lot, especially their last record. I love The Cure, who just released a new record. I know they're not a new band, but
but they are releasing new music though. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Let's see what else has got. There's a band, the 2 sisters from Canada called Soft Cult that I like.
Okay.
Let's see. Anybody else?
How about as far as getting out to see live music? Are you able to go out and see a lot of live concerts? Do you still like to go out from a fan standpoint and actually go see live shows?
Yeah. If they're, another artist I really like is called Cautious Clay, and he's like an alternative R&B guy too. But he's more an alternative because he mashes up all kinds of stuff. He put jazz in there, and he's like a multi-instrumentalist and rock and alternative and stuff like that. He's really talented. Because
obviously right now bands are really making their bones going out and playing live. I hear that same story, obviously, talking to a lot of musicians on here about going out, hoping that they can, grind it on the road and sell some merchandise. So I know it's very important to go out there and see live bands. That being said, when you start getting up there and going to see bigger shows, it can certainly get a little pricey.
Yeah, it's getting crazy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes along that we really want to see, we'll see it. I mean, we just saw the Subhumans play at Gilman Street a couple weeks ago, and they're my all-time favorite punk band. So we saw.
I am taking my son next year here in upstate New York to see, of course, the big Metallica Stadium show, which was not cheap, but they are coming with Pantera and Suicidal Tendencies, which will be a lot of fun. And getting to see that in a big football stadium is going to be pretty epic. But even for nosebleed seats, though, still north of $100 per ticket, though.
See, when the Cure played on their last tour in the States, they sold their tickets through their own means. So they cut out all these big ticket people, the brokers, that gouge you and then sell it to scalpers and stuff like that. So everybody paid like decent prices for their tickets. Yeah. And I wanted to say Taylor Swift did that too, I think.
Yeah.
But if the artist insists on doing that and you're big enough to do that, you can totally do that. And you can cut out all these vultures and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. A concert shouldn't cost $300.
Yeah, that's an accurate term right there too. Vultures is good because it really does seem like price gouging, because you're paying for a ticket, and I've recently seen this happen out in Syracuse, which is the nearest big city to me. In the big venue out there, you'll see a ticket for $75. And then you'll see it'll be pushed up to $100 with this $25 ticket surcharge from Ticketmaster. And you're not even getting a physical ticket anymore. You're either using your phone or you're printing it off. You're printing it off at your own house. It's crazy. Handling what?
A computer could handle all that stuff, And and like somebody's just like laughing all the way to the bank, you know.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. All the way, yeah, all the way to the bank. It's pretty sad nowadays because I think it does keep people from from really. Although I gotta say, somebody's paying, and somebody's paying even for those snake pit tickets where Metallica sells the tickets right around the stage, and like those go for like 4 figures. You know, you're talking like thousands of dollars or whatever. But they are coming to a football stadium. It is 50,000 plus. And it is fucking sold out. So somebody is buying those tickets and paying those exorbitant prices to be down there right in the thick of things, man. So I mean,
I wouldn't even do that.
Crazy.
The last 2 times I've seen Metallica, somebody else bought me a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if they got it cheap or whatever, but I didn't ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I seriously doubt if it was any time, since the Black Album, it probably was not cheap because I don't know if Metallica has been a cheap ticket in a long time.
I saw them play at some veteran center in Marin a few years back, or shit, now it's like probably 10 years or something. And I think my friend paid like a couple $200-300 for tickets.
Yeah. And I hate to shit on them because they have earned the right. They are legends, man. I do love them, man. I've been listening to them all my life. There's no denying, the mark they made on the metal world and the doors that they've kicked down, and the pioneers and the trendsetters that that they've been. And I don't know, you make a good point. I don't know how much leverage they have over these ticket prices, or like what they can do to really
do whatever they want.
Right. It'd be nice to see them be a little more hands-on and say, it'd be nice to see them be a little more hands-on and say, look, we really would not, we're multimillionaires hundreds of times over. We'd like to see our fans pay more of like, $50 or, somewhere in there,
Sure. Because they're not making all that extra scratch and stuff from those reselled tickets and stuff like that. Somebody else is making money. They can still make the money that they're making and stuff. They just cut out all the, those other people, they're not music fans, they're money fans.
Right. And they are very powerful. And I remember
they can do whatever they want. Metallica's super powerful, the biggest metal band on the planet.
Sure. And I remember the late great Prince several years ago, man, doing that concert out at the Los Angeles Coliseum. And he said, look, people around the LA area are not rich, man. You know what I mean? Who are my fans? I don't want tickets to be over $30. And it was done, He was able to get it done.
Yeah. If you got all that money and all that power and stuff, you could, the Cure proved it that, they can do it like that and not gouge the fans and have successful shows where everybody's happy and you get fans in there instead of like just rich people who just want to
Yeah.
Because that's what we have a lot of that out here because, of the whole tech industry out here and stuff like that. You see a lot of tech bros at these big concerts. Like that, and you're like, this guy's a Metallica fan,
right? Like, where were you back in 1980? Yeah, right. Where were you back in 1985? Yeah, it's like you just loosened the tie and ran out of the office, and you're down there stage side, and the diehards are up there.
Exactly. I mean, I've been seeing them play, since Kill 'Em All.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I can't afford those tickets.
Now, you also spent some time in another great band, SKINLAB.
Yeah, so I was in SKINLAB for about a year.
Yeah.
So
I had Steve on a couple of weeks ago. Great guy.
Yeah, Steve's my buddy. I did SKINLAB for about a year. I did the first record with them. I got to tour Europe for like 3 months. We toured with like Machine Head and Exodus and Grip Incorporated. And then with all the other support bands, and man, that was I have to say that was the funnest time I ever had in the music business. That was amazing. The stories, and then it did. I pissed Steve off when I got really drunk one night. It was like towards the end of the tour, and he fired me, and he didn't give me a second chance until like 11 years later or something, and we got back together again, the original lineup, to like do some anniversary shows for like the 20th or 25th anniversary or whatever.
Well, forgive and forget, right?
Oh yeah, we that's been water under the bridge for years and years and years.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I was being an asshole. I should have been given a second chance because I tried. I apologize and stuff like that, and I would have put the kibosh on my outrageous behavior and stuff like that. It would have been worth it to me, but he was like, he wasn't having it. but whatever. It was his
Is the
band.
outrageous is the outrageous behavior a thing of the past?
Yeah.
How outrageous does it get in your life nowadays? Not very.
Not very.
No,
But
me
I mean,
neither.
that's just like maybe 3 years removed, because I stopped drinking about 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
drinking was like the thing that kind of, I would never say, I would always say that drinking has gotten me into problems for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, it's gotten me into hot water. But I was never like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, I was never like a day drinker.
Right.
I was always like a weekend warrior, binge drinker type.
Yeah.
And I have had my, I am an addict. I'm not in recovery, but I don't use anymore. But I'm not like, so I'm not gonna say like I'm not an alcoholic and blah blah blah. I've had my problems with substances for sure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Alcohol never was really one of them in that sense, but it did get me in a lot of hot water and from time. And my wife just didn't like being around me when I was drunk. I wasn't like abusive or I just make stupid decisions and do stupid things like getting behind the wheel of a car, and
that's par for the course, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just stuff like that. And then, I was kind of obnoxious and obstreperous and like, you can't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever the fuck I want kind of stuff. And she wanted, at that point, she kind of wanted to grow and, and not be who we were, because my wife and I, we were party animals and stuff for many, many, many years. And when I stopped drinking, she stopped drinking. So neither of us have had a drink in 3 years.
Well, congratulations. That's good. Yeah, that's great. And so I
more wild and crazy Gary. No.
Yeah. So I usually like to sprinkle in. I usually like to sprinkle in a couple subjective questions here. So I'll start with this one. For you, who would be your Mount Rushmore? Your top 4 goats of all time for musical acts. And of course, this is subjective. This is not who you think the greatest 4 bands of our time. This is just your 4.
My favorite: Rush, The Cure, wow, 4: Rush, The Cure. I like the Cocteau Twins a lot.
Okay.
Right up there. Gosh. I mean, Metallica has to be up there just because they were there for so long. I don't really, I don't listen to them that much anymore and stuff like that. But like that would be a bucket list. Like, I would love to play a show. I've never played a show with them before.
Sure.
Yeah. And there are some other bands that, like the Subhumans, I would say they were huge. Their last couple like records before they broke up are like just amazing prog punk records and stuff like that. And they were definitely a favorite of mine. These are bands that I had when I had army jackets or leather jackets that were like painted on the back.
Yeah, I remember.
Metallica was definitely there. The Cure was on there. I don't think I read one that said the Cocteau Twins, but definitely Subhumans too. So yeah, so probably those.
And Gary, if I were to take you and drop you on a desert island, and you could only take one album with you, what would be the desert island album?
Maybe Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Okay. And now, why would you want to be out on a desert island with that album, which essentially you would only have this album? Essentially, I guess it would be the album that you would fucking die on this island to. So it's all encompassing. It's the only thing you've got to listen to. So specifically explain yourself as to why that album.
It's full of great material. It's very original. No 2 songs are the same. It follows a storyline. It's a what do you call it? Concept record. It's got great musicianship. I love the production on it. Bob Ezrin produced that one. Every time I listen to that record, I'm just like, fuck, this is so good. This is so good.
At least you'd be on this desert island happy.
Yeah. And Roger Waters wrote almost all of that record.
Yeah, he did.
Not all of it, but almost the whole thing himself. And that's quite a feat, if you ask me. Because that's an amazing record.
And obviously, Pink Floyd is two very prolific, creatively prolific guys, man. But they just can't seem to, you got David Gilmour on one side, Roger Waters on the other. If you're starting a band and you could take either one of those guys, who's the more prolific that you'd want in your band? David or Roger?
Well, Rogers, I think he's the superior songwriter.
Yeah. I mean, David Gilmour, a monster guitar player, but
guitar player.
Yeah, an amazing guitar player. And so the other one I'd like to ask you is, if we were to barter with God right now and we could have one dead rock star back, who would we want back? Who would we want back, and who would we want to trade for?
Jeff Buckley would be the one that we want back.
And who do we want to give?
Like, who do we?
So who do we want to give to God? Now this is the difficult part, man. Now we got to give somebody up.
And it has to be a musician.
I guess not. I really didn't think this through, Gary, but I guess you found a loophole here. Maybe not. No,
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Let's see. Who would we?
Like for instance, I had somebody, like for instance, I can give you a couple examples, like while you're letting it marinate around a little bit. I had somebody want Dimebag Darrell back, and they were willing to trade Harry Styles. I had somebody the other day who said, "Fucking."
Oh, I know.
I can't remember who they wanted back, but they were willing to trade Beyonce.
I know. So bring back Jeff Buckley and give him Ian Watkins or whatever, the child molester from the Lost Prophets, the guy that's in prison.
Oh, good point. Okay.
Yeah, he's total shit dirt bag.
Yeah. Because if we're gonna get somebody back, man, we got to think like a sports GM here. You know what I mean? You got to think of a fair trade.
I want somebody who deserves to go to, but he's not. God's not gonna. He's not gonna go up to heaven. So God will.
Right. That's true.
There's a God.
Yeah.
Gonna say, you're not coming in here, buddy.
Yeah, he's getting sent to the fiery. Yeah, he's getting sent to the fiery grave.
Yeah, if I could trade one life for another, I'll say it there. I'll trade Jeff Buckley for.
Okay, fair enough.
Ian Watkins.
So what's the timeline like? You just put out classic songs of death and dismemberment in June of this year. How soon do you want the next Ghost Next Door album or project, EP, whatever it's going to be? How soon do you want it to come out? How soon do you start to think about like
spring
of next year?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta finish the mixes on this one. I mean, the other one is like ready pretty much. I just gotta like kind of decide how I want to with the order, what songs. It's for me. It's really hard for me to like multitask musically when I'm like. So like right now I'm working on this EP. So everything else is falling by the wayside. I'm not picking up guitar. I'm not practicing my vocals. I'm not doing anything other. I'm not planning for these other releases because I want to fucking finish this one thing that I've been working on for several months, and I want it, and that's taking up like all my bandwidth right now. But
obviously you're not shaving.
No, that's it. You hit the nail on the head as to why I have a beard the way I have it. Because
I think musicians, you know what? I think musicians are a lot like Samson in the Bible, though. A lot of the best ones sport facial hair. I think it's a key element. It's just a theory. It's just a theory, but I mean, I certainly feel like, man, that in the decade or so that I've sported a beard, and I've had it longer at times or whatever. I'm probably getting ready to not really fuck with it too much because in upstate New York, it's about to start getting cold here pretty soon. I feel more prolific and more powerful with a beard.
I just am lazy and
that too. Yeah, I'm lazy too. Yeah.
I mean, when you're shaving your face, you have to do it like every day.
Yeah, it sucks.
Same thing with cutting your hair, like having short hair. You have to you got to cut it all the time before it gets to that weird middle point where it looks all kooky. Yeah. I don't have to, it's like, I'm not comparing myself with Einstein in any way, but Einstein had the same suit or whatever, so you wouldn't have to think about it.
Right.
I am with my beard and my hair. It's like, I don't
and obviously Einstein was not like a top-notch groomer either. The hair was a little wild. Yeah. As I remember, he had that kind of unkept looking mustache.
Yeah. I got other fish to fry. I can't be bothered with that.
Can't be bothered. So the next project that comes out, the EP, will be how many songs? The remaining
five songs. It's going to be called Slow Burn Suicide.
Okay.
I've already come up with the name for the EP. The hard thing is coming up with a name for the other 6 songs or something that was supposed to be on classic songs. I don't know what not so classic songs of Death and Dismemberment. That one's good. That's got to come from. It's got to be something that's tied to it. I don't know. Oh, and one thing real quick I want to mention. Well,
yeah, please.
Is we just this past weekend filmed a video for the song "Nothing and Then Nothing Again" from the last record, and we did that with Mike Sloat, and Mike Sloat's worked with Machine Head a bunch and a lot of other big bands in the area, and we've actually worked with him in the past on some of our videos, actually all of our videos, well, all but one. Anyways, so that's going to be coming out soon, like probably within the next month or so. As soon as
you like making videos? Do you like that process of making videos? I do see bands still making them, and yes, like the classic MTV Headbangers Ball, 120 minutes, all those great shows MTV used to have on are obviously all gone now. MTV isn't really in the music video business anymore, but they are still all over YouTube. I know we're watching them on smaller screens now, but they do still seem like a pretty effective promotional and marketing tool.
Yeah, there's songs with 10 million views.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, this is my thing. I've never made money at this, definitely not as much. I mean, I've made some here and there, but nothing that even come close to what I spend on it.
Right.
Right. But one thing I really want more than anything is for people just to listen to what I do. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care how they do it. I just want them to listen. I made it for myself and for them. And I just want people to hear it. There's no point making it if people ain't gonna listen. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah. So when you're any of these platforms, put it up.
Yeah. When you're not making music, like you talked a little bit about getting into the engineering, the production. Is that something that you're interested in too? Like, working with acts behind the scenes, or no?
I just want to do that for my band.
For your own band, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think I would have the patience to do it with I mean, I'm not, never say never and stuff. I mean, if somebody asked me to mix a song for them, I might do it. I don't know. I think I gotta have some music out there that I've mixed for people to say, hey, I really like that. But I don't think I would. I spent, the time I have, I spend doing this. And if I'm gonna be working on music, I'm gonna be working on my own music. I could be doing recording, I could be mixing, I could be writing. There's so much stuff that I could be doing, Yeah.
You got to focus your energies on the important stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, you only got so many hours in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I have a day job and stuff like that. So I just, between that and what I do here is.
That's why it amazes me sometimes. I'll get people on here, man, that are in 4 or 5 different bands, and I think, like, where do they find the time?
I will never do that.
It's amazing. I mean, I guess my head is off to them in a way, but it does seem like sometimes, though, like, holy shit, man, how thin can you spread yourself, That's
what you're doing, too, and it's like you're just seeing if one of these bands might stick. They're not going because you're all fucking spreading yourself too thin. You need to focus on the one thing and, like, really put all into that.
Yeah.
And then maybe, just maybe, you might get some traction and do something.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anybody that's been in like 4 or 5 bands that doesn't work out. I've never seen that work out for them.
It's difficult. Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, Gary, man, I absolutely love this fucking album, man. I'm glad you agreed to do this, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really had a lot of fun chopping it up with you. I know we're connected on social media now, so stay in touch. And when the next project's going to come out, I would love to have you back on, man.
Absolutely, anytime.
You're
the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed this, man. It was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you doing it, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll be in touch.
Yeah, good talking to you, Gary. Thank you, brother.
Bye, everybody.
All right, later on, brother.
See you.
There he is, folks. Gary Wendt from The Ghost Next Door, a band that I urge you guys to check out, man. Hints of alternative, obviously metal, progressive rock. It is really a conglomerate of a lot of amazing genres of music, man. The album that came out this year is called Classic Songs of Death and Dismemberment. Very lighthearted title, as you can tell. But give the album a chance. Fucking phenomenal, man. I mean, you heard Gary's influences, The Cure, Rush, You know, you'll hear elements of all that stuff, but still very heavy elements of doom. Just a great fucking album, man. I can't say enough about it, man. Really enjoying it, man. 13 songs, 61 minutes. So it is like an old school metal album from what we remember back in the days, or a great Pink Floyd album or a Rush album. You know, I mean, that really screams progressive rock. You know, you're getting a lot of songs, and you know, you're getting a long run time, which is refreshing, especially to an old timer like me, man. That's the way albums used to fucking be, when people had the attention span to fucking listen for 13 songs in 61 minutes. But give this album a chance, man. You will fucking thank me and be happy that I hipped you to this. The Ghost Next Door is the name of Gary's band, and the latest album is Classic Songs of Death and Dismemberment. You won't be sorry. Do yourself a favor. Check it out. I'm going to check myself out right now, man. Make sure the quaff is still in order. Of course, you know how I make it all happen. Boom! Right there. And of course, you probably won't look this good. That's goddamn near impossible, but you will look pretty damn good. I, of course, am blessed with the great Roth genes, as I am Diamond David Lee Roth Jr., the son of glam, the front man for the band, adored by millions of fans, the peanut butter to your jam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, Mr. Wop, Bopaloo, Boppa, Wop, Bam, Bam, Shazam, hot damn. Still looking good, still sounding good at the end of another great episode. So damn good, I'm going to give myself another look, and just to make sure that it's all falling into place. And it always is. God damn it, it's hard to be this goddamn good. But hey, somehow I'll carry the burden. But that's another great episode. Make sure to like and follow PodScum on Facebook. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell right up there at the top of the screen to stay tapped in, where all the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Rexx Ruger. And that was another great episode. So thank you to Gary Wendt for coming on here and doing it, man. And again, I urge you, I implore you to go check out The Ghost Next Door and check out their latest slab of brilliance, Classic Songs of Death and Dismemberment, man. You're going to get your money's worth with an amazing album, a lot of material there, man. Dive into it and fucking check it out, man. And you will not be sorry. If your boy Rexx tells you, then it is so. There. Enough said right there, man. So with that being said, I will remind you guys, as always, when I end these things, to take it easy and keep it sleazy.